In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why your goals are keeping you stuck and what you can do today to change that. Let's talk about goals. Too many people have goals that don't work. And why is that? It's because a lot of people have goals that look something like this. They say, I want ... right? I want a better job. I want a bigger house. I want to be healthier. Honestly, I want to have a six-pack, right? Like, insert any goal here that you've thought of before. Again, most of them are just a variation of I want X thing. Now, the problem with this actually comes down to integrity. I'm going to explain why. Because if this is you right now, and this is your goal, what most people do, they just keep doing the same things that they've been doing at point A and getting the same results while saying, I want this goal of point B. Now, the problem is there's a gap right here between their actions and their goal or their desire, right? When your actions and desire are out of line, there is a gap in integrity. And this is the fundamental problem behind most people's goals, is they are living this way. The goal that they say they want requires this type of action, but their action is keeping them down here at point A while they say that their desire is this goal. That means that there is a misalignment of integrity. The easy way to solve this, you have two options. Number one, you either drop your goal to align with what your current actions are. So again, if you say, you know what, I really, really want a six-pack, but I'm not willing to eat the way that having a six-pack requires. Option one is you just say, you know what, I don't have a six-pack and I'm okay with that. I'm gonna just drop my desire. And now my desire and my actions are aligned, which means I now have integrity with my goal. That's option A. If you're that person and you think, you know what, I haven't hit my goal and I'm not really willing to change what I'm doing about it, but I'm happy living the way I am. Maybe the only reason you want this goal is because of social expectations. You can feel free to stop this video right now and just say, you know what, I'm going to change my desires so that now my desires and actions align, and I'm just going to be happy living the way that I am. That's fine. Again, if that's you, go ahead and pause this video. The rest of it's not really going to apply to you. You can enjoy living your life the way that you do, and that's fine. The challenge here, though, now is if you're living this way and you don't want to drop your desires or your standards and you do want to reach this goal, the only other variable we have is to change your actions so that they align with your desire. And that's the part that a lot of people get conceptually, right? Like, this makes sense. This isn't groundbreaking, but too many people don't actually put it in practice. They'll say, you know what, I really want to start a business. This obviously, we coach couples in starting a business, so this is relevant to us. They'll say, I want to start a business, but I'm not willing to take the time to actually decide to start a business and start reaching out to people and start advertising myself, right? There are a couple of very clear action items that you can take that will get your actions aligned with your desire and your goal. And I'm going to show you in the next couple of minutes how you can actually align them. But I just want to reiterate how important aligning and like having integrity between your actions and your desires is if you're trying to reach any goal. So now, in order for us to align actions with desire, we have to know what our actual goal is. So again, like I said, the problem with most people's goals is that they just say, I want something. Honestly, it's usually pretty vague, right? Maybe they say, oh, I want to make more money. I want to have a better relationship with my family. I want a nicer house. You know, I want a car. Even if they feel like their goal is specific, odds are it's not specific enough. Let me show you what I mean by that. If your goal is, I want to make more money, there are a ton of ways you can actually hit that goal, right? Again, if you go and you find $5 on the street later today, you've made more money. But why is that not your goal? Why does that not fulfill you? Why do you not feel satisfied with saying, you know what, I picked up $5 on the street, I hit my goal, right? Because people, honestly, even if they were to do that, or they get a little bit of a raise at work, or they get a little bonus, or heck, they even just keep working their job and make more money over the course of a week, why is that not satisfactory? Because honestly, they're hitting this very broad, very vague target. Again, maybe you make $5, that's making more money, right? Maybe you make 10K, that's making more money. But honestly, any of these within this circle could technically be making more money and hitting the goal. But none of them feel satisfactory because none of them are well defined. Like, just saying I want to make more money is not clear enough. Where if you are here and your goal looks something more like this, like my success is I want to make 10K a month for 3 months consecutively. If I can spell, wow, 3 months consecutively, then I know I will have made it. If your goal looks more like that, then you know when you will have hit it. So that is one tiny shift that you can make in your goal setting right now that will level up your goals. Going from a vague, I want this, to I want a very specific outcome within any of these areas that you're saying you want to improve on, so that you know exactly when you will have hit that point.
Okay, so as a couple, this lack of integrity thing is so important to remember. Because if you are a couple, yay, you are right here. And you are currently on this trajectory. This is your daily life you're living right now. And you say, we want this goal. Okay, cool. That requires a completely different course of action than you are currently taking. So, let's say wifey here really wants said goal, right? So she starts going up, right? And husband here also really wants said goal, but he's on just a little bit less of a trajectory than wifey, okay? This gap creates conflict. That's why it is so important to be totally aligned on this goal and exactly what this gap entails, so that you can be taking the actions required to get to that goal together. Now, one of the most common misconceptions, especially for couples going into business together, is in order to get here, I have all these tiny little things I need to do to get there, right? Okay, so if I want this goal, let's just say you're smart and you have a specific goal of 20K a month, right? Okay, we want to be earning 20K a month consistently. Chances are you're going to want to go and pay off debt. You're going to say, okay, if I want to make 20K a month, I'm going to have to cut my expenses. I want to cut my debt, right? In order to get there, I need to get a better job. And then eventually, maybe, start a business. And then I probably want to buy a house at some point. And it's kind of weird to be earning 20K and not have a house, right? So let's just say that that's a step that you want to getting there. You want to take to getting here. The problem with this is that these are little check boxes leading to this, right? That's what it seems like. This is the little ladder that says, oh, let's go and do all this stuff to earn 20K a month. Okay, great. The problem with that is a lot of this actually isn't required to earn 20K a month. If you were earning 20K a month, though, would you be able to pay off debt? Yes, you would. If you were earning 20K a month, you would have had to either get a better job or do a business or both. Great. If you were earning 20K a month, could you buy a house? Absolutely you could. So, what is the point of having all of these to get you here? Why not just cross all of these off and just have this be your goal? This kind of goal is what we call a North Star goal. And this is what drives all of your decisions. It tells you exactly what to say yes to and what to say no to. And when a couple is aligned with a North Star goal, there is nothing that can stop you from getting there.
So now that you know why a North Star goal is so important, let's go over how you can actually create one with your spouse today. In our program, we coach couples to start a business together. And over the course of 6 months, we helped them go from zero. Most of them are working 9 to 5s, feeling stressed, like struggling with debt, And we help them go from that point to running a business that gives them options. The very first step that we do in our program with our clients is we will help them identify what their actual North Star goal is. And this is the exact process that we will follow with them. We have them answer 3 questions, and we have them do this together as a couple so that they can get on the same page. Just like Sarah mentioned, if you are not aligned as a couple towards your North Star goal, you're never going to hit it. And so it's absolutely critical that you do this together. First of all, you look at 12 months from now. The way that I like to frame this question is when our clients join the program, they are preparing to start a business together with their spouse. We walk them through the step-by-step of how to get there. We work with them for the course of 6 months, right? So we will ask them, okay, at the end of 6 months, when you've completed the program, you have a business that is going, it's successful in your eyes. Somebody runs into you at Walmart that knows you started that business 6 months ago. And you're catching up with them and they ask you, hey, I know you started a coaching business 6 months ago. How's it been? What will it take for you to answer in that moment, you know what, it was the best decision I could have made in my life? Like, I'm so glad that we did this. I'm so glad we jumped in. Best decision we could have made. What will have had to have happened for you to be able to say that at that point? Now, what does your income look like? What does your time look like? What does your family relationship look like? Heck, maybe what does your health look like, right? Just think through these different areas of your life, whatever's important to you. What does it look like at 6 to 12 months when you're successful? And again, get very specific. We talked about the target. If you have a smaller, more defined target, you're going to actually be able to hit it. Next question we have them answer is, why is this important to you? So think through, why is your answer to number 1 important to you and your spouse? This seems super simple, but at the end of the day, if you don't own the goal, you're not going to work towards it. It will get hard as you're working towards a North Star goal because it requires you to change your behavior and your actions and your beliefs to the point where, yeah, you're going to find days that it's hard. But if you can be aligned on why it's important to you, then you're going to be able to face those challenges and those days way more confidently. Then at the end of it, we say, okay, look at an average day at this point, right? So it's 6 to 12 months when you've accomplished the goal. What does your average day look like? Think in terms of morning, afternoon, and evening. Like, what does your day look like on average, right? Do you start your morning slow with an alarm clock or without an alarm clock? Do you get up first thing and work out? Do you wake up slow and just hang out with your family or your kids? Do you go on a walk with your spouse in the afternoon after lunch? Or are you working throughout the day? Like, what does your dream day look like morning, afternoon, evening? How is your time spent at this point where you've accomplished your goal? The idea of this is just to make it real, right? You're trying to visualize what this success looks like because, again, you're trying to define your bullseye. You want the target to be really clear so that you know when my day looks like this, I've made it. I'm successful. Again, too many people base their goals and their success off of very vague or kind of meaningless targets. This makes it really real. Because if your goal then is, I want to run a business that is bringing in $20K a month, that I can work 3 to 4 hours a day, spend time with my family. Like, I wake up in the morning, spend time with my kids, take them to school. I go on a walk with my spouse in the afternoon after working a couple of hours in the business, right? And we spend time together as a family in the evening, watch a movie together, right? If that's your dream, amazing. If your dream is, I want to work and I want to, spend 8 hours a day in my business, 10 hours a day in my business, and still have time with my family afterwards. Like, it's up to you. Like, this is where you just define what your target looks like for your business and your goals so you know what you're actually trying to accomplish. So that's the first step. You go through those questions. That gives you a North Star goal, right? Because you know what you're trying to accomplish and you know what it actually looks like when you get there. So this is the point where you're going to reverse engineer. And this is where we sit down with our clients and we say, all right, if you have this point B right here, and you're clearly defined on what that looks like, right? You know what that day looks like. You know exactly what you're shooting for. You know why it's important to you. We're going to work backwards to see exactly what has to happen to get you from point A to point B. And some of the common things that we're going to have to go over at this point is, how much money does it actually cost for you to live your point B North Star lifestyle? right? So if your goal at point B is, one of your goals is, we're going to buy a new house in 6 months that has 5 bedrooms so we can fit our family better, right? At that point, you know the timeline, you know what it looks like, you know what size of house you're going to buy. You can easily say, okay, well, I know how much money it's going to cost me to buy that size of house in the area that we're looking in. Factor that in, right? Identify how much income, how much savings, how much are we going to need in order to hit that goal. But you're going to be surprised, a lot of the goals that you set for your North Star, like, again, being able to take your spouse out to lunch multiple times a week, that doesn't cost as much as you would think it does. So you just go through everything you've identified in your North Star goal. You say, okay, how much money is that actually going to cost me? Then you go back to say, okay, well, how much time do I actually have right now to dedicate to getting me to this point? Right now, you might be working 2 jobs. Maybe you don't have a job, but you know how much time you have to work towards this dream and this goal. So this is the point where you do a little audit and you say, okay, well, how much time do I have? Do I only have 60 minutes a day that I can work on my business? Or do I have 5 hours, right? With our clients, this is where we identify what they have available to work with, and we design their business around that. So if they only have 60 to 90 minutes a day to work on their business consistently, then we figure out what are the most important steps and actions you're going to have to take in your business to get you from point A to point B. If you have more time, obviously it's going to be able to happen faster. But this is where you just have to be really real with yourself and say, you know what, if our point B, our North Star goal, is strong enough and we really, like, our why is strong enough, then obviously we're going to find a way to make those 60 minutes a day count, right? Then this is where you know this is what we're working towards. And so, yes, we can commit to putting in our best effort right now to get us to that point. I'm just going to leave you with one thought from Ben Hardy, is his name. His book is called 10X is Easier Than 2X. Amazing book. Super highly recommend. This is a book that's transformed a lot of our thinking as far as goal setting goes. But in this book, Ben Hardy basically talks about how if you're trying to make a 2X goal, that's just kind of like an incremental improvement of, I'm here, I'm just going up a little bit to point B. This doesn't require a lot of change. Usually what this requires is just more of what you're already doing. And a lot of people get burned out chasing 2X goals because they just end up doing more, getting slightly better results, and realizing that, hey, it's not proportional. I'm not getting the results that I wish I were getting. Where if you're going for a 10X goal, if you're down here and you're going for up here, what happens? There are a lot fewer things that you can actually do to increase your outcome by 10 times. Now, this could be talking like financially, money-wise. If you were to 10X your income, there are very few things that you could actually do to 10X your income, especially on a relatively short timeline. Same thing applies to relationships or health, spirituality, whatever it is that you're working on. If you're trying to do a 10X goal, the idea is that it forces you to try things differently. And rather than just do a little bit more, you have to kind of rethink everything that you are doing. And Ben Hardy talks about how this raises your floor. Basically, you look at, okay, if I'm going to go from here to here, 10X, the number of things that I can do that will get me there dramatically decreases, right? The visual that he uses is if each one of these bars represents a possible thing you could do to get you to your goal, right? Let's just say this is keeping your job or starting a type of business or different types of businesses. If your goal is to increase by 10 times, regardless of what the actual number is, right? And the 10X is just an example. But the idea is that if you go and your goal is down here, I want to make, $1,000, the options you have to make $1,000 are honestly fairly infinite, right? Like you can make $1,000 a ton of ways. But if you're trying to make 100K, the number of options that you have to make 100K significantly decreases. You're trying to set a goal that pushes you. And as you do, you're going to be forced to rethink the way that you approach it so that you raise your floor, where now all of these things below that no longer become options, and you only have these 2 options of what you can take and what you can do. In our coaching, we help our clients understand what their actual goal is. And again, this doesn't mean that your goal has to be 100K. It doesn't mean that your goal has to be 10 times what your income is. But the idea is that you want to set a goal that will raise your floor so that everything below that now no longer even becomes an option. So you know what it is you can focus your time on to get the best result possible. If any of this has been helpful to you, and you think that this approach to goal setting, this approach to starting a business would be helpful for you and your spouse, then please reach out to us, comment down below. We also have a link in the description of this video where you can sign up for a one-on-one call with our team where we'll look at your goals together. We'll look at what your point B is, where you're starting from right now, what's keeping you from getting there. And if we're a fit, we can work together. If not, it'll be a great opportunity just to evaluate your goals and see where you're going. So if that sounds at all interesting to you, click the link in the description and we'll find a time to connect.